So, in a nutshell, we are going to want pavers, or pavers are the easier option. And then, depending on how you want your bit to go, a wood crate would be for like thinner, and then your floor would be a thicker. Wood pillar would be the thinnest part. Now the pavers are for our coordinates. And basically we're going to lay out our pavers in the shape of a heart on the ground. Personally, I do like the smallest paver. If you'd like, you can also use dinner plates, or in all actuality, you can use, actually no, due to the changes with building blocks, I would not recommend. I used to recommend using pillars for coordinate points. I do not recommend that anymore though. So this stage does take some finesse on your part. And you can be as particular or as laissez-faire as you want with this heart. I am slightly pressed for time because we are getting slightly close to the end of our stream, so I am trying to be a little bit quick here. And let me grab some flowers. I'm just going to do it with gardenias because they're the biggest ones. You can do this with any of them. And what we're also going to do is have one over here that's just going to be what I like to call our go home plate. Yeah, May is quite right, actually. They are quite pretty. And if you are familiar with how to perform a solo float, that is the bread and butter of this. So we're just going to go to each coordinate, and when we get to that coordinate, we are going to press our number key, which performs an item cancellation and preps this block for floating. And now from there, it's just a matter of grabbing this back plate to activate our float every time. Boop. Go to next coordinate, from item cancellation. And I'm going to motor a little bit because the set, again, I mentioned the time crunch. I definitely did it from the wrong coordinate. Biscuits. We have to restart. The reason why I did it from the wrong coordinate, here, I'll show you. When we flip this up, we want the crate to be able to go into the ground. So we actually want to place this paver below our heart. It doesn't have to be too far below our heart, but don't worry, I'll also cut this part out because this part will be very easy to cut out, and I'll upload it to my YouTube channel because I'm sure people will probably like this. Even if it, or I don't know, maybe I'll actually make a tutorial for this. One that isn't so rushed. Especially because I think we're going to run into collision issues with the house. It's one of those days. Okay, this is just my test plot. Anyways, you can kind of get the idea. We'll make a full half heart. At least. Make sure that that home plate does not move. Because if it does, it'll skew the rest of your placements. In relation to the rest of your assembly. Okay. We have half of a heart. We have half of a heart, which is enough to make float. At this point, we're going to use a trick that I love using and we must make sure S6 never finds out about. never finds out about. So, we put our paver on our shelf. We flip it up like this. At this point, we put, there we go, secondary crate. It's ever so slightly away from our other crate, but enough that it grabs that crate and then boop, right on the edge of that paver. We take away that crate, and we now have just easily sunk and flipped and hidden our anchor crate. So, in a nutshell, I'm not sure if that's how other people do it, but that's how I do it. And then you're left with your little paper here that you know, I don't know, put your froggy bucket on top of it, and your froggy bucket is just sitting there going, don't be suspicious, don't be suspicious. Yeah, I can. And yeah, I have like massive flower arch back here. Let's hit snooze on that ad because, yeah. That'd be because I am legitimately shady. Although that being said, I think the one of those flower arches was done in a very weird way. Don't ask. That all being said, I did mention something before we went into that. Thank you very much for the compliment. At the end of every stream, I say something very specific, which is, and many people who are familiar with the channel are familiar with my, I guess, catchphrase, which is that I am and always have been a tiny dragon with the most titanic dreams, and that I hope that you, wherever you are in the world, please keep your dreams just as big. Well, there's actually a second part of that. To go in tandem with it. And it's that even though the world might make you sometimes feel tiny, it doesn't mean that your dreams can't be titanic. So, I just wanted to share that with everybody before we find somebody to raid into.